All right, welcome back to the deep dive. It is February 19th, 2026.
Wow.
And the confetti it's barely been swept off the floor. Unless you've been completely off the grid this past week. You know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl 60 champions. They got the Lombardi Trophy. The city went nuts. And, everyone in the Pacific Northwest is supposed to be on cloud nine.
That's the story. Right. That's the Hollywood ending we all expect. The hero wins, the music swells.
Everything's perfect. Exactly. But we've been digging through a huge stack of sources the last couple of days, everything from raw locker room interviews from FOX 13 Seattle to some really dense financial breakdowns on California tax law and even reaction videos from Black and White Sports.
Yeah.
And honestly, the vibe isn't just pure celebration. It's messy. It's expensive.
And in some ways, it's actually pretty sad.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating look at, expectation versus reality. So our mission on this deep dive is to really unpack the hidden costs of winning a championship. We're going to look past the scoreboard to analyze the emotional toll of what the players are calling a bittersweet breakup. And we have to get into the literal financial costs that left the winning quarterback.
Oh, this part is just unbelievable.
Reportedly owing money to the state of California, it's a math problem we really need to solve.
We do.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the civic friction, too. You have a whole city trying to celebrate, but the school board and the mayor are basically in a standoff.
It creates this really complex picture. You've got the absolute pinnacle of professional success clashing with tax codes, school budgets, and just the harsh reality of the NFL salary cap.
Okay, let's get into it. I want to start in the room where it all kind of ended. The sources take us inside the Virginia Mason Athletic Center for locker room cleanout day.
Right.
Now, for 31 other teams, this day is basically a funeral. You lost, you're done, you pack your stuff in a trash bag and go home angry.
It's somber. It's a moment of failure.
But the Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. They should pop in bottles, right? Planning vacations. But reading the reports from FOX 13, the big emotion wasn't partying. It was tears. It was heavy.
It's a paradox, isn't it? But it makes perfect sense if you look at the psychology of these high-performance teams. The word that keeps coming up in the sources is bittersweet. You have the incredible euphoria of winning, but it's immediately followed by the grief that this specific team is dissolving.
There was one detail that really, really stuck with me. It just felt so human. A player was asked what he'll miss the most. And he didn't say the crowd or the big games.
What did he say?
He said he's going to miss shadowboxing with his teammates.
Wow, that's such a specific human detail.
Isn't it? It's just the random silly stuff they do on a Tuesday morning. It's not the glamour, it's the routine, the daily grind together.
And that's what we forget as fans. We see them as gladiators on Sunday. But for the last, 6 or 7 months, these guys have spent more time with each other than with their own families. And the sources all describe this specific Seahawks roster as a particularly loose group. They genuinely liked each other. They built a real fraternity.
Right.
And then the realization hits them on cleanout day. This exact group of 53 men who won that ring. It's over. It's done. It will never exist again.
Julian Love, the safety, had this quote that I thought was so poignant. He said, "We'll come back in 10 years, and it will be this team. We are forever stamped."
Forever stamped. It's a beautiful way to put it. But notice the tense he's using there. He's talking about the past and the distant future.
He's not talking about next September.
Not at all. Because the reality, and they know this better than anyone, is that free agency is coming. The sources point out that key guys in the secondary, like Rick Woolen, Josh Jobe, Kobe Bryant, they're all about to hit the open market.
Okay, but hold on. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. They just won the Super Bowl. Why not just run it back? Why does the team have to break up?
Well, this is where the business of football just crashes the party. It all comes down to one thing: the salary cap. When you win a Super Bowl, your players suddenly become a lot more expensive. The market value for a guy like Kobe Bryant or Rick Woolen just skyrocketed because they now have Super Bowl champion on their resume.
Right. Other teams going to throw money at them?
Bags of money. Money that the Seahawks simply cannot match and stay under the league's cap rules.
So, ironically, being too successful makes it impossible to stay together.
Precisely. Success literally prices you out of your own roster. And the players knew it. There was a lot of talk in those interviews about ground zero.
Right.
They were openly acknowledging that next year, nobody's going to care about this win. The standings reset to 0-0. So you're in this moment where you're saying hello to the trophy and goodbye to your brothers at the exact same time. It's got to be emotionally exhausting.
So you have the emotional cost, which is clearly high. But here's where it gets, really interesting.
This is the part I still can't get over.
And frankly, when I first read this in the notes, I thought it had to be a typo. We need to talk about the financial cost, specifically for the quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, this is one of those stories that sounds like an urban legend until you actually sit down and look at the numbers.
The headline from the sources is basically this: Sam Darnold, the quarterback who just won the Super Bowl, reportedly lost money by playing in the game.
It sounds absurd.
He didn't break even. He went into the red.
You win the biggest game in American sports and it costs you money. But the breakdown from the financial analysts is rock solid. It all comes down to where the game was played, Santa Clara, California, and how aggressive California is about taxing pro athletes.
Okay, walk me through this, because in my head, if I get a bonus, yeah, the government takes a big chunk, maybe 30–40%, but I still keep the rest. How do you end up with a negative number?
Because it's not just a simple tax on the bonus. That's the key misunderstanding. We have to talk about something called the jock tax.
All right, I'm listening. Lay out the math.
Okay, so for winning Super Bowl 60, Sam Darnold got a bonus from the NFL. The source says that bonus was $178,000.
A very nice check. Nobody's complaining about that.
In theory, no. But then comes the bill. According to the tax analysis in our source material, Darnold owes the state of California about $249,000 in taxes related to playing in that game.
Oh, whoa, stop. I have to stop you. How is that possible? He earned a check for $178,000, and the tax on that specific event was $249,000. It's more than the check itself.
Exactly, because they aren't just taxing the check. This is the aha moment. California taxes athletes based on duty days spent working in the state.
Okay.
The Seahawks spent 7 days in California for the Super Bowl, a full week.
Right, 7 duty days.
But, and this is crucial, you have to remember the Seahawks are in the NFC West.
Oh.
So they already had road games during the regular season against the 49ers and the Rams. Darnold had already spent duty days in California earlier in the year.
I see where this is going. It's cumulative. It all piles up.
It piles up. Think about it like this. Sam Darnold makes, say, $10 million a year. California essentially says that for every day he works in their state, they get to tax a portion of that total $10 million salary.
Wow.
By spending that extra week there for the Super Bowl, he's not just paying tax on the $178,000 bonus. He's dragging a much larger chunk of his entire annual contract into California's highest income tax bracket.
So by making it to the Super Bowl, he basically volunteered to give a huge piece of his yearly salary to the California Tax Board.
That's it. The Super Bowl week tipped the scales. The tax bill on that allocated portion of his $10 million salary, plus the tax on the bonus, came out to that $249,000 number.
So you subtract the bonus he got.
And you get a net loss of roughly $71,000.
He paid $71,000 out of his own pocket for the privilege of winning the Super Bowl.
That is just, it's what? I mean, look, I'm not asking anyone to start a GoFundMe for Sam Darnold, but the principle of it feels completely broken.
It creates a totally perverse incentive.
Yeah.
And it's not just us saying that. Boomer Esiason, the commentator, he went on air in one of our sources and basically called for a boycott.
I saw that. He was furious. He was saying the Players Union should just refuse to play there. He said the NFL Players Association should not agree to any more Super Bowls in California. And it raises a valid question, right? It's a clash between a state's tax policy and the NFL's business. Should players be penalized because of where the league decides to host a game?
Especially when you think about the other guys on the roster. The rookies, the guys on a minimum salary. That tax hit is way harder for them than for the quarterback.
Absolutely. For a lower paid player, that could wipe out a huge chunk of their take-home pay for the entire year. It just turns everything upside down.
So we have players crying because their team is breaking up. We have a quarterback paying a fine to win a trophy. And now we have to talk about the city itself.
Right.
Because the price of the ring apparently also includes a fight between the mayor and the school board.
This is just a classic case of bureaucratic mixed messages.
Okay, so the victory parade. It's scheduled for Wednesday at 11 a.m. standard procedure. Downtown Seattle, 4th Avenue. You're expecting hundreds of thousands of people.
It's supposed to be a moment of pure civic unity. The whole city comes together.
It's supposed to be. But then Seattle Public Schools decided to draw a line in the sand. They basically just said, nope. Absolutely not.
They took a very hard line. The district announced schools would be open, normal schedule, and they went out of their way to say that skipping school for the parade would be an unexcused absence.
Which is just hilarious because at the exact same time, you've got the mayor, KDB Wilson, on TV, and what did she say? She's encouraging everyone to come out and join the celebration responsibly.
So the mayor is saying, come on down and party. And the school board is saying, if you do, you're truant. It puts parents in a terrible spot.
And the kids. The sources were joking about a predicted citywide wave of Lombardi illness.
Yes, suddenly 100,000 kids have a mysterious fever that can only be cured by seeing a parade float.
But why is the district being so rigid? I feel like in other cities, they just shut everything down for the day.
Well, it's easy to paint them as the villains, but there's a financial reason for this too.
Oh, there always is.
In Washington state, school funding is often tied directly to attendance numbers, average daily attendance.
Ah, so if half the kids skip school, the district literally loses money.
A lot of money. It's not just about being strict, it's about the budget. If tens of thousands of kids call in sick, the school district could take a major financial hit. So the schools have an economic incentive to play the bad guy here.
But look at other cities. The sources mentioned Philadelphia closed schools for the Eagles. Kansas City did it for the Chiefs.
Right. Those districts just looked at the reality of the situation and surrendered. They knew no one was showing up anyway, so they made it a holiday to avoid the whole mess. Seattle's refusal to do that is interesting.
It really puts parents in a bind. If you're listening and you're a parent in Seattle, what do you even do? Send your kid to school to learn fractions or take them to see history being made?
Well, the guy from Black and White Sports was pretty blunt. He joked, "Sorry, Timmy, the school hates you." But seriously, it's a real dilemma. These moments are rare.
So let's just tally this up. You have a team that's emotionally wrecked because it's breaking up, a quarterback who is literally paying to play in the game, and a school system giving detention to the entire city.
It really does frame the price of that ring differently. And I think this all leads to the bigger dynasty dilemma that the sources were getting at, this idea of the cost of cashing out.
Right. Because underneath all the chaos, the taxes, the tiers, the truancy notes, the front office has to make a cold, hard business decision.
Exactly. We talked about those free agents. The team is at a crossroads. Do you try to keep everyone together? Do you overpay just to keep the good vibes going? Or do you look at this expensive, messy reality and say, we hit the peak, time to sell?
And the players seem to know what the answer is. Ernest Jones, the linebacker, was joking about his parade shirt in an interview, knowing he might be wearing a different uniform next year.
I think they do. That bittersweet reaction tells you everything. They know you can't buy that chemistry back. You can pay the players, but you can't pay for the feeling they had in that locker room.
It's identity versus economics.
And in the modern NFL, economics wins almost every time. That's the harsh truth. The ground zero comment wasn't just about the standings. It was about the entire culture resetting. They're cashing out at the top of the market.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? We started this deep dive talking about a triumph, the ultimate goal in sports.
Yeah.
But we've just uncovered a ton of collateral damage.
We have, and I think that's the point. As fans, we see the clock hit zero, the confetti goes off, and we think, they did it, it's perfect, the story's over.
But the reality is so much messier.
Much messier. It's a ring that comes with a $71,000 tax bill, a celebration that technically makes your kid a truant, and a team saying hello to a trophy and goodbye to each other in the exact same breath.
It really makes you rethink the whole nature of success.
And that's the question I want to leave everyone with. We think of a championship as the ultimate reward, the thing that fixes everything. But think about the team that lost that game. They're not dealing with a massive jock tax bill because they didn't get the winner's bonus. Their core group isn't necessarily getting broken up because their players didn't get that champion price bump.
They're just sad they lost. But their lives are a lot simpler today.
Exactly. So when you look at Sam Darnold's bank account and you look at those empty lockers in Seattle where guys are hugging for the last time, is the price of victory actually higher than the price of defeat?
That is a heavy thought to chew on. But hey, at least they got the ring.
They got the ring. They just have to pay the invoice now.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.